mentor and does this presentation for us on occasion. Alan is a mentor in the North Chicago SCORE chapter. So you'll see as we talk about SCORE that we work together on a fairly regular basis with mentors all over the country. So that's the one nice thing about SCORE. So I'm just going to go through a real quick presentation about SCORE, 5 or 6 slides, and then I'll turn it over to Alan, and Alan will start us through for the night. Just to let you know that everybody that's on this call will get a copy of a recording that's being streamed live right now on YouTube, but also we'll get a copy of the slides. So that will automatically be sent to you within the next couple days, probably. So again, welcome. Let me talk a little bit about SCORE and what SCORE is and what SCORE does. So, if you think about it, we're probably the largest network of free volunteers for small businesses throughout the country. We have some 200 and some odd chapters, about 240, I want to say, throughout the country in various locales. We have about 12,000 volunteers throughout the country. And all the volunteers added up together, put together probably, 1.5 million hours that we dedicate to working with small businesses. So it is by far the largest network in the country. Our mission is to help foster vibrant small business communities through mentoring and through education, and give you the support that you need. You all know that small businesses really drive the economy of the U.S. And so it's really important not only to the SBA, to Congress, to the federal government, to make sure that businesses thrive to the best of their ability. Now, we've had some hiccups in the past regarding the pandemic and things like that, but we're coming through the other end of that. And many of the businesses that we work with here in SCORE have been able to pivot and hold on. So our volunteers give freely of their time, and SCORE is for everybody. We work with, we focus on veterans, on women, on minorities, Hispanics, Black entrepreneurs. And so it's a huge part of what we do. We're also very much visible in working with underserved communities. SCORE Cleveland in particular has a program that we're doing called Community Navigator, and we work with underserved communities to make sure that businesses and entrepreneurs in those areas have the wherewithal to help grow their businesses. And all of our services are free. So, sessions like tonight's session, or if you are going to be working with a mentor one-on-one, or sometimes you'll have 2 mentors, or even an advisory board in some cases where you'd have multiple mentors working with your business, that is all free and it's all unlimited. So we don't charge for anything we do. We are a service provider through the SBA. We get very little funding through the SBA. Most of the funding that we need to run our operations, we raise on our own through local funding sources. So while, as I said, we're a service provider for the SBA, we do work with them very closely, and they bring us clients. If somebody's going to the SBA for loan documents and things like that, SBA will send them to SCORE for us to help put together business plans and loan documents. So that's pretty much what I wanted to show you. I just want to show you our website. It is score.org/Cleveland, and I'll put that in chat in a little while. But the nice thing about this is that you can go on there, and there is all kinds of material out here that you potentially could use resource-wise. So if you're putting together a business and you need a business plan, there are templates out there for you. If you're putting together a business and you need financial templates to take to a bank, there are templates out there for you, and they're all free. The other thing that is good about this website is that all of the national webinars that are being done through our national offices and through our local offices are all available for you. You can go in there, you can sign up for anything that's coming up in Cleveland or at a national level, and you can get yourself as much information as you need again, all free. So you can see, you can hit take a workshop, and it'll take you to all the workshops that are coming up in the SCORE Cleveland area, as well as the national ones. You can browse mentors' profiles. You can also request a local mentor. So I urge you to go to our website. And, as you're talking, as Alan's talking tonight, there will be things that he brings up that you may need some help with. Feel free to reach out to a SCORE mentor by going to our website and, again, requesting a local mentor. So at this point in time, I'm going to stop sharing. And I would like to turn it over to Alan. Alan is a specialty, his specialty area is in sales. And I know that he's been doing it probably as long as I have. We're slightly different in terms of the types of sales that we do, but we are both in the sales area, and Alan does a wonderful presentation on basic product and service and sales skills. So without further ado, Alan Sight.
Hi, everybody. And first thing you need to do is thank me for this fabulous weather we're sending from Chicago over to Cleveland, because you're going to get one more day of it anyway. It's about 84 here today and just barely a cloud in the sky. So tonight's presentation, the formal name is the basic product and service sales skills, but in reality, let's call it go sell something. And that's the drive behind the whole thing. Let's go sell something. So is this you? I love this picture. I'm not a salesperson. I don't like salespeople. I don't trust salespeople. I don't want to be a salesperson. I don't know how to sell. You're not alone, okay? These are common yet incorrect self-opinions, because you started selling on day one, just like this baby selling on, I'll stop crying if I can get a little food in here. That's selling. Every one of us sells something almost every day. Selling the new ideas at work for a process or a procedure. Selling yourself in a job interview. I mean, the very best question in the world to ask at the end of a job interview is a perfect sales question. When you ask the interviewer, so based on what you've learned about me today, is there any reason I wouldn't be your best candidate for this job? You ask that question, that's a sales question. Selling your spouse and going out for Italian rather than Chinese. We all sell something every day. Even a 16-year-old sells at their part-time job, okay? What was the best and easiest add-on sales pitch ever conceived and produced the most revenue? And this one produced hundreds of millions of dollars. And it was at McDonald's when they used to ask us, would you like fries with that? Now it's for combo meals and whatever, but just that phrase alone, their sales of fries went through the roof. And it's a simple sales question. You may have the best product or service in the world, but nothing happens until someone sells something. In your small business, the someone who must do the selling is you. So let's get down to it and improve your sales skills. There's a million selling styles out there. Suggestive selling, consultative selling, partnership selling, spin selling. Okay, there's just lots and lots of names of selling styles, but they all pretty much circle around the same thing. And sales skills are important. I went on Google and typed in sales skills training books, only got 92,700,000 results. So there's a lot of information out there on selling skills. Sales skills, selling is a huge topic with many selling skills philosophy. This program presents the basics behind all sales skills program. Basic sales skills are universal. It doesn't matter if you're selling cars or coaching or houses or training or insurance. The basics are the same. If you're selling B2B, if you're selling B2C, if you're doing fundraising, basic sales skills are universal. We're going to focus on benefits selling. Benefits selling is basically feature, advantage, and benefits. Okay, the features are the facts or the characteristics about what you're selling. The advantages are what they do. And the benefit is what is the value for the customer. And this is the most important thing. Selling what the benefit is for your prospect or your customer. Something as simple as an on-off switch, okay? It's an on-off switch, that's the feature. And it turns the machine on and off. But the benefit is it saves you money, it saves you energy, whatever the benefit of having an on-off switch is, okay? SEO optimization, okay? What's the advantage? It gets you website hits, but the benefit is it builds your awareness or it builds traffic, it increases your revenue. That's the benefit of the SEO optimization. Okay, something as simple as a charger, a charger packet, okay? This charging unit has 9 adapters. That's the feature. The advantage is it can be used with almost all PCs in a market. And a lot of people stop right there in their presentations with that advantage. You need to move on to the benefit, because you will need to buy only 1 unit and you will not need to search all over the house for adapters. That's the benefit. That's what makes it important to that person you're talking to. This is a great video.
Your job as a professional salesperson is to paint a compelling picture in your prospect's mind. You want to paint such a fantastic picture that your customer, when you're talking about your product or service, will think about how wonderful it is to use your product and how wonderful it is to be using your services. That's your job. And to do that, we need to sell benefits. Not just features, but benefits. Let me explain. Let's take this phone, for example. If a salesperson sells me the features and says, this phone has GPS, what sort of picture do I have in my head? At the most, I'll be thinking this phone has a GPS chip in it. And that's all my brain is thinking. But if the salesperson were to tell me that with this GPS chip, the feature, you will never ever be late for another appointment again because you'll never get lost anymore. The benefit. And now, in my head, instead of having a picture of a GPS chip which has no meaning, I'll be thinking of all my happy customers that will be happy with me because I was on time, because I was never late. Let me give you other examples. If you're selling software, most software salespeople will just sell features. This software has a bajillion data streams on it. You know, in the customer's mind, they'll be thinking, and so there's a bajillion streams on it. Instead of saying that, he can say, well, this software has a bajillion streams on it, and this means that you can save lots of time in your uploads. And time is money for your business. And now, instead of thinking about the bajillion streams, which means nothing, now I'm thinking about all the time and money I'll save. Now, let's say you're selling training. Instead of telling people that you're selling sales training, no, I sell sales training. Instead of saying that, instead of selling just the features, sell the benefits. This program, our sales training, can improve your bottom line many times over, helping you achieve a record year and impressing all your superiors. Now, instead of thinking about just sales training, and what do people think about when they think about training? They think about sitting down in a chair the whole day. So instead of selling those features, you sell the benefits of that and how he can impress people, make record sales. And that's a wonderful picture. If you're selling paper plates, don't just say, oh, this paper plate has a polymer coated yada yada blah blah. I mean, so what? You think about a polymer coated blah blah yada? Doesn't matter. Tell people that this paper plate has a polymer coated blah blah yada, and this means that you will never have another soggy plate in your party again. And because we all have problems in parties and soggy plates, it's terrible, you know, the chicken curry goes all over. So if you're selling holiday packages, instead of telling them it's 4 days, 3 nights, you know, over the weekend, and, you know, you're taking this flight. Instead of saying that, say, you will have 4 days and 3 nights, which is long enough to enjoy the sights and sounds of Bali. And you can take this time to do all these activities such as surfing and blah, blah, blah. So instead of giving people to imagine 4 days, 3 nights, okay, what is 4 days, 3 nights? There's hardly any picture in their head. They are thinking about the good time they will enjoy in Bali. If let's say you're selling clothes, instead of saying, oh, this dress looks good on you. Instead of saying something like that, you can say, you know, if you wear this dress to your gala dinner tonight, you will wow so many people. And now, instead of the woman thinking, oh, the dress is great, she is thinking that when she goes for a gala dinner, people will be commenting on the dress, people will be admiring her dress, people will be looking at her and thinking, she is beautiful. If let's say you sell cats, yeah, cats. If let's say you sell cats, don't say, this cat is 3 months old. So what? You know, what's the picture in your head? The cat is small. Sell instead the benefit. You know what? If you get this cat, one day when you come back home and you're feeling down and upset about someone or something, and you see this cat lying down like this, asking you to rub his belly, all your problems go away. And that's the benefit. Now, it doesn't matter what you're selling. Don't just sell features, sell benefits. And I bet you, if you start selling benefits more often than just features, your sales will go way.
So, what's in it for me? That's benefit selling. Whenever you're talking to the customer, think of what's in it for them. So let's start to work on this a little bit. We want to talk about what's called the hierarchy of a sale, the customer hierarchy of needs, okay? So, and you think about this, people buy the salesperson first. Do they like and trust that salesperson? Do they know, this person know what they're talking about? Do they connect with the prospect? Does the customer like you? The customer is going to first decide, do I want to do business with you? Okay. You walk onto a car lot. Do you want to buy a used car from this guy? Probably not. Okay. So people really do buy the salesperson first. Secondly, the people buy the company. Is this a legitimate supplier of this product? And this is very important for you folks with new businesses. Okay. Will the company be around when I need them? So make sure you put words about these things in your presentations. And this is very important, like I said, for your new company, so people understand that you're going to be there next week. And also, who runs the company? When I'm doing my mentoring, I find sometimes new business owners are hesitant to say that this is their company and they got their skin in the game on this thing. So it's important to get that customer comfortable with your company. Okay, so does the customer trust the company? Next thing, does this product or service fit their needs? Okay, it's kind of logical, but they buy you first, the company second, and then is this product something I'm interested in? Thirdly, is sometimes you're selling in a situation, especially in industrial and commercial sales, where you may not be selling, you may be selling to someone who is actually buying the product for use in a factory, use in a business, use in their hotel. They're the purchasing agent, okay? So now you have to help them understand that their internal user is going to be happy with this purchase, okay? And then finally, what's in it for me? The person that's making that decision. Do I feel good about this purchase? Will it help my career? Will it help my family? Will it help me? So these things you need to build into your presentation, and maybe not in those words, but in that logic. So the hierarchy of sale, be sure your presentation meets their personal needs. Okay. Like a good Boy Scout, the important work for a successful sales presentation is done long before you talk to a prospect. Preparation is important. You need to know your product so thoroughly. And anyone you talk to who's been in sales for any amount of time will agree with this, that an important, unproven fact of all sales presentations is this: if you know 25 points about your service or your product, you can bet that the next prospect is going to ask you about number 26. It never fails. So know your product. Products and service knowledge is the key to your success. So you want to write down in logical order before your first presentation the features and benefits. Just feature one, feature two, benefit two. Remember that the features are what it is and what it does, and the benefits is the feel good that makes the customer want to buy your product. Present in a logical order. Okay. I've been a tool salesman all my life, 40 some years, selling hand tools, pliers, screwdrivers, cable cutters, that kind of stuff to people like Home Depot and Lowe's and Granger and all those kind of customers. Okay. But you want to make your presentations in a logical order. Okay. So if you're selling something as simple as a screwdriver, you start at the tip, then you talk about the shaft, then you talk about the material, then you talk about the grip. Okay. And the reason you do this, or one of the main reasons you do this, it'll help you remember all the points you want to make. Because if you jump around forward and back and up and down, you may forget some of the most important points that you want to make about your product. Okay. And do not present the most important feature and benefits first. Okay. Work your way up to those, or build them into your presentation. Because if you start off with the very most important thing about your product first, what are you going to talk about for the rest of the presentation? Okay. You need to build up to those and get the customer or the prospect in the habit of saying yes to you. And we're going to talk about this a little more here in a second. Now, am I talking about a key-in sales pitch? No. What I'm talking about is a track to run on, because we all wish that a sales call was a straight start to finish, that you had your features and your benefit and your feature and benefit. But unfortunately, sales calls don't do that. The customer gets interrupted by the phone. The subject gets changed and wants to talk about their kids. Sales presentations don't go in a straight line. They jump around. And by you having your presentation in a logical order, it's going to help you cover all those important points. Okay. So you assemble your presentation: feature, benefit, trial, close. Feature, benefit, trial, close. What's a trial close? Trial closing is incredibly important. Trial closing is taking the product's temperature. How do you like it so far? Okay. Let's say your product or your service that you're selling has 20 key features and benefits. Okay. And you blabber out and you all 20 without getting any statements of understanding or agreement on those most important benefits from your product. And you attempt to close the sale and the prospect says, no, you are in deep stuff right here, because you don't know what the prospect is saying no to. What feature didn't they like or understand? Okay. You're clueless. You don't know why they're saying no. Trial closing tells you the prospect is listening to what I'm saying. Does the prospect understand what I'm explaining? Is the prospect interested in what I'm selling? Okay. And it gets the prospect talking. That's so important. If you can get the person you're speaking to, talking back to you and having a conversation. Sales should be a conversation. So trial closing, if you think of it, is like a long hall of doors. Okay. If you get agreement on features and benefits and move on, it's, at the end of the presentation that the prospect has said yes to the important parts of your presentation, and they should be ready to buy. Trial closing questions are easy, okay? Do you see how this will help your business? Do you see yourself using that feature? What color do you like best? This is really a nice feature, isn't it? Trial closing is so important to 100% close rate. How do you like it so far? If you can't think of a good trial close, just ask them, how do you like it so far? And you'll start to get a conversation going, okay? Now, you need to prepare for questions and objections, okay? A question is a request to clarify a feature or a benefit, and initially is not a deal killer. It needs to be satisfactorily answered, and then trial closed for acceptance. I ask a question, you need to find out if you have answered it to their satisfaction. An objection, however, is a potential roadblock to the sale, and it needs to be totally answered and then trial closed for acceptance, okay? Learn from your previous prospects the questions and objections, okay? Own those questions and objections. And what I mean by that, as we're going to talk about in a second here, is building them into your presentation. Let's talk about a pump here, okay? You've had other presentations and people have asked you why your pump was only a 0.5 horsepower. So in your presentation, you build this in there. You just say, you know, I've been asked, why does our pump have a 0.5 horsepower motor and the competition uses a 3/4 horsepower motor? Well, our analysis shows that a 0.5 horsepower has plenty of power, lasts longer, and saves you energy. So now your trial closed with, so I think that that's a good benefit, don't you? Pretty simple. It's not a threatening question. It's just, how do you like it so far? Do you think that's a good benefit? That is a way you answer or you build a common objection that you get into your presentation. You get ahead of the question and you get ahead of the objection and you will control it. So how do you respond to a question or objection? Okay. You never, ever go on the defensive. Just can't do it. That's a killer for you. And no matter how much it hurts, smile. And boy, sometimes it'll really hurt and you won't know which way is up at that point. Okay. Honor the prospect's statement. Honor their question. That's a great question. Okay. Thanks for bringing that up. In your mind, you might be thinking, that's the dumbest question I've ever heard. But you honor their statement by saying, well, that's a great question. Thanks for bringing it up. You repeat the question or objection back. Okay. To be sure I understand, you are asking whatever. Okay. You do this for a couple of reasons. If you have that statement in your head, okay, to be sure I understand your question and you're asking them you're stating the question back, this gives you time to think up your correct answer for their question. Okay. Answer thoroughly, or if you don't know, just say you don't know. Don't come up with a answer that could be incorrect and get you in some kind of trouble. Do not over answer the question with how to build a watch. You've all heard about the statement of you ask someone what time it is and they tell you how to build a watch. Don't get that deep into it. If the customer asks more questions, then you may need to get more deeply into the answer for that question. But normally they won't. Okay. So just answer the question with a quick answer, a concise answer, and move on. Ask trial close to make sure they're happy with that answer, and then move on. Okay. The price objection. People seem to be really afraid of the price objection. Okay. And here's Homer saying, boy, that sounds expensive. Okay. If you've been trial closing, okay, it's so easy to say something like, initially the price may seem high. So let's review what the product or service offers you. And now you go back through a couple of things, a couple of the benefits that you have gone through, and they have answered positively. So you can reinforce that, yeah, this may seem expensive, but this is offering you exactly what you want. Okay. And if you're selling a luxury product, You answer with, sure, the price is high, and here's why. Okay. I like to use this example. You go into I pick on used car lots. Okay. You go into a used car lot when you're looking at a car, and the used car salesman says, well, this car is $40,000. And you step back and go, wow, that seems expensive. Most likely that sales guy is going to say, oh, well, let's move over here. And this car over here is only 35. All right. Where if you're at a Porsche dealer or you're at a Mercedes dealer, they're going to step forward and they're going to say, sure, the price is high. And here's why. And they're going to give you all the benefits of why you should own that Porsche or you should own that BMW or Mercedes. Okay. So don't back up from the price objection. If you've been trial closing, you got just review what you've gone over so far and move forward. And it's because someone says, boy, that price seems high. Doesn't mean it's a deal killer. They may just not have been thinking that it was going to be that expensive. Okay. So we're almost ready to go. Practice your sales presentation. Practice is the ticket to success. Okay. Practice with coworkers if you got them, or your spouse, your neighbors, your friends. Video yourself. It's so easy to stick your phone up and go at it a couple of times. And you'll be surprised how much you'll learn from that and how much better you'll be. Okay. Because the more you practice, like anything else, the better you get. Now, before each call, okay, have a specific objective. Okay. Do you expect to get a sale from this call? Maybe. Okay. That may be your objective. Or you're talking to someone who's not the decision maker. And so you want, at the end of this sales call, you want to get a meeting with the boss or the decision maker. Okay. You want to present a proposal at the end of your presentation. You want to get to the point where they say, yeah, send us a proposal on this product or service. Okay. You want to solve a problem. You know that this customer has an issue and you want to solve that problem, and which hopefully will then end with a sale. Okay. But know why you're walking in the door. It may be a trial of your service. Okay. You're selling a gym membership and you want them to try it out for 2 weeks. Okay. That's your goal. Walk in with that in your mind. Okay. Start with smaller prospects. Learn from small prospects if you're selling business type stuff before you tackle the most important ones. Okay. I can't tell you how many salespeople I've seen get introduced to a new product and run right out and call on Boeing or call on Grainger or Home Depot, and they don't have a cool and a good presentation in their mind yet. So start, in this case, you're selling something to pet stores, start with a small corner pet shop, because the questions that they ask you at the small corner pet shop are going to most likely be pretty much the same questions that are going to get asked to you at the great big pet store. Okay. So you move up from the small corner store to a bigger pet store. And once you really got your presentation down and you've made all the mistakes you can with the smaller prospects, then you go call on Petco. Okay. Work your way up to the bigger prospects. And so you know what you're talking about. But giving the presentation is really the easier part of this whole program once you've got it down. You start out with a question session, you remember the customer hierarchy and build that into the presentation that you're making. You got your product knowledge down, you're going to do benefit selling, and you're going to do trial closing. So that's exactly what you do during the presentations, okay? And you're going to review the points that the prospect liked as you give your presentation, okay? Now, closing the sale, okay? There's a million books out there on closing the sale in a lot of different ways, from, from Mastering the Art of Selling to Brian Tracy, who's an excellent sales teacher. There's lots of different ways to close a sale, all right? If you listen hard for buying signals while you're making your presentation, okay, you'll find your sales close ratio will go up significantly. Because sometimes we start talking and we go right past a closing signal from your prospect, and you may blow the sale. Okay. So when a customer says something simple, like when will mine be delivered? You've got the sale. They're ready to go. Okay. What days of the week are you available? If you're a trainer or a coach or some kind of consultant, when they ask you what days of the week are available, I'm available Tuesdays and Thursdays next week, which would be better for you? And the deal is done. Okay. And there's a lot of different closing techniques. Okay. We're just going to touch on a couple of them here. What day would you like the delivery? Simple. You get to the end of your presentation. What day would you like delivery? Monday or Wednesday? The yes and yes close. It's the best and the easiest. Okay. Do you want to sign up for a 6-week or a 12-week session? If you're selling coaching of some sort or personal training, excuse me. Okay. The presentation review close. This is a nice one. You know, Mr. Prospect, as we went through my product, you said you liked the repeat the feature and benefit, repeat a couple of features and benefits, and so on. So based on those points, we seem like a good fit for you. Okay. Your close was just the word okay. It's very, very simple, very easy, very smooth. Okay. There's, like I said earlier, there's a million different presentation styles. The new guy close is a fun one. Especially in your cases, because you have a new business. You make your presentation, the customer doesn't say yes, and you're ready to walk out the door or get off the call. And the new guy close is this. You know, Mr. Prospect, I'm new at this business and my company's just getting going. And I really think my product is a good fit for you. So tell me about my presentation. Give me a grade. What did I do well? What did I not do well? And it is remarkable how many times the prospect will bring up something like, well, you didn't say that your product does X, Y, Z. And you go, holy cow, I forgot to tell you that. Our product does X, Y, Z perfectly. So let's sit down and put this deal together. Okay. The alternate choice close. Do you like a red one or a blue one? Okay. The bandwagon close. They've got a lot of people in your business that are using this exact product, and I think it'll fit your business too. What do you think? Okay. Now, a lot of people will say during a presentation, they want to think about it. So the old, I want to think about it, or a stall. And you say, great. I'll tell you what, let's think about it together. Now, you said you like this, and you said you like that, and you said you like the other thing. And you start getting them shaking their head up and down that they like this, they like that, they like the other thing. Okay. And at the end, you say, so we've thought about it together. Let's put this deal together. Okay. I mean, closing sometimes is hard. Sometimes is to the point. Some people need a little kick in the rump to make the decision. Okay. And that's your job to close the deal. That's how you make a living. That's how your company makes business. Now, we're going to talk about the 2 major sins of selling. The first one, sin number 2, silence. Okay. What I mean by silence is when you ask someone a closing question, be quiet. It'll kill you. It'll seem like it's hours that they're not talking, but you've got to give the customer the chance to answer. You got to give them the chance to think. And honestly, no matter how long it takes, because as soon as you say, well, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? You have broken their train of thought. They may have been ready to say yes, and you've decided to, how about if I give you a 5% discount or something? Okay. So sin number 2, silence. When you ask a closing question, be quiet. Sin number 1, not asking for the order. And this sounds so odd, but it is incredible the number of salespeople who go and they make a great presentation, but at the end, they just kind of leave it out there dangling and they don't ask for the order. Ask for the order. Okay. And you can start, it could be so easy. Okay. So what do you think? Do you want to get together? Even a simple close like that. But when you ask that question, you'll be quiet and you let them think and you let them answer, but you've got to ask for the order. And it may not be, as we talked way earlier, it may not be for a sale. It may be you ask them, are we in a position for me to give you a good a proposal? Or, it seems like you like this well enough. Let's take it and show the boss or show the decision maker. Okay. Ask for whatever you wanted out of that sales call, ask for the order. Now we're going to talk about some fun sales tidbits. Okay. I saw this the other day. And I've had mentees ask me, well, I don't want to bug a prospective customer too many times before they get mad from hearing about me. So I saw this online from this company called Sales T. And the question was, as part of a normal sales process, how many follow-ups on average occur before a sale is closed? And look at these numbers, 4 to 5, it's 66% of the sales are closing. Now there were, I forget how many answers on this thing, but there were 1,600 different people answered this survey. So somewhere between 2 and 5 is a good number of the number of times to follow up with someone. Don't give up. Another one I found was, what do you think keeps a customer more engaged? A personalized service is 71%, and that falls right into what we talked earlier about the customer hierarchy. You being readily available, that's very important, but look at providing good deals. That's discounting, okay? These people are telling it only 9% of the times you offer someone a discount or whatever, does it keep them engaged? Does it close the deal? A personalized experience. What's in it for them? Okay. You need to go into all presentations fully prepared with your literature, your samples, your pricing. And I keep forgetting to add to this, but if you're doing it on your computer, to have the files open that you may need to go back and take a look at or show to the customer, so you're not hunting around your files and your subfolders while you're giving a presentation. All right. In personalized sales, you don't want to be what we call a trunk runner. A trunk runner is the guy who in the middle of the presentation goes, oh, let me run out to my car and get this piece of literature for you or get this sample for you. Because while you're out running to your car or being a trunk runner, that customer is taking a phone call, thinking about something else, getting involved with something else, and he's losing concentration on your product. Be prepared, okay? The old pen drop trick. You're in a presentation and somehow you've gotten yourself in a situation that you don't know the answer. Drop something, drop your pen, bend down, tie your shoe. That little bit of time gives you the opportunity to think of how you want to answer this question or this objection. It may sound silly to you. It works. Okay. Literature and samples. Now, I am solid on this. Never, ever, never, ever, never, ever give a prospect a piece of literature, a proposal, or a sample until the end of your presentation, or at least until you really want them to have this piece of literature or have them play with your sample, because it's another unproven fact that when you hand the prospect a sample, the proposal, or literature, they go blind, deaf, and dumb. Okay? If we're in a presentation right now, me and you, and I hand you a piece of literature, what are you going to do? You're going to look down and you're going to start reading that literature or looking at that literature, and you're not going to be paying attention to me. And I'm the most important person on this sales call. Okay? So don't hand people the literature or a sample or give them something to look at while you're making your presentation. I can't tell you how many people I've had come in and give me presentations when I was running some different companies. Okay. They walk in and the first thing they do is they plop their proposal down on the desk and they give me a copy. And what's the first thing I do? I turn to the last page to see how much is this thing going to cost. And for the rest of their presentation, they're justifying in my mind, what's this puppy going to cost? Where had they gone through their presentation and they had gone through that proposal and then gotten to the end and given me the cost, I would have been listening the whole way. Now all I'm thinking about is, boy, do I want to spend this much money? Okay. Your post-call review, very important. Okay. Take a second. What went well? What did I do well in that call? Even if you didn't sell something, okay, what went well? What didn't go so well? You start to think, well, when I talked about this feature, I was kind of clumsy, or, just don't, really think about it. What didn't go so well? Because this is the way you're going to do better on the next one. And what'll I do next time? Okay. When I was a sales manager for a company, every time we'd come out of a sales call, I'd go through this with the sales guy. And that's the way people learn. What went well? What didn't go so well? What'll I do next time? Okay. So what were our key points today? All right. Know how the features and benefits of your product or service benefit this prospect. Okay. What's in it for them? Start small. Learn from the small prospects first, and then work up to the big guys. Trial close often. Own the questions and objections. If you bring them up in your presentation, some people think this product might be too big for their house or whatever. Well, let me explain. Boom. You own those questions and objections, and they will go, you'll do much better with them. Okay. Ask for the order. Don't forget the reason you walked in the door, and ask for the order. And when you close, be quiet. So, do you have any questions? And I think Bob will get in now and help us out with this. There you are.
Yeah. So if you have any questions, you can put them in either in the chat or in the Q&A. Alan, one thing that I wanted to reiterate that you had talked about, and you were talking about selling on price when you mentioned that, if I offer a 15% discount, maybe, I'll get that business. Well, one of the things that I've learned as a salesperson is if you're selling on price against a competitor, it puts you in a situation where you just become a commodity based on your price, and you'll never have the opportunity to sell the value of your product or your service. So I just wanted to reiterate that. So
Yeah, you're 100% right.
Yeah. So just one quick comment from somebody. Very thorough presentation. Thank you. I'm not seeing any questions yet at this moment in time. What about, I'll ask a question. When you're working with a customer, it could be through a service, it could be through a product, could be business to business, could be business to consumer. Talk to us a little bit about kinds of discovery that you might go through before you actually start thinking through your presentation.
That's very good. That's a great question. And
do you notice he honored the question?
Yep. And it really depends on, again, who you're selling. If you're selling, there's in a group. Well, no, I did not answer your question exactly. Okay. Before you make a sales call, you really do need to understand how a company operates. Okay. And the people that you have spoken with as you're getting prepared to make a business presentation, okay, you can ask them questions up front, like, what is the purchasing process at your company? When you look at new software, okay, what does your company look for, and how does that work? And normally the people you're screening and setting up your initial meeting with, they will tell you pretty much everything you need to know. Well, I'll hear the first presentation, and if it sounds logical for us, I'll bring in the IT people, I'll bring in the CEO or CFO or whomever, okay? But otherwise, there's so much information online on about companies and how big they are and the things that may be important to you. If you're selling machinery, you know, who they're buying their machinery from, look at their website, look at pictures of the way their factory is laid out. So any information you can know in advance. If you're working on a personal level with just you're selling a service to, and there's a husband and wife or a man and a woman, people standing there, figure out who the decision maker is, okay? Because in all groups, whether it's just 2 people or 20 people, there's someone in there who is the decision maker, and it's not always the boss, okay? It could be anybody else in that organization, because old Fred's sitting over here in the corner and he's not a boss. He's not even a manager, but he's the one that uses this product. The boss has known him for 20 years and relies on Fred's idea on these things. You better be paying attention during your presentation and making sure you're bringing Fred into the presentation and make sure that he's there. Now, I know that didn't answer your question 100%, but I think it gives you a good idea that you need to do your research when you can.
I agree. Yeah. And if you can get in and talk to your prospect in advance. One thing I've always told young salespeople when they start out is you got to listen. Listen 75% of the time, talk 25% of the time, at least when you're getting to know a client and doing discovery. So I have a question here from David. Do you have any recommendations for scripting a cold call via phone?
Boy, those are hard. Okay. It's hard getting through the roadblocks, the receptionist or the person that's answering the phone. Okay. One way to do it, especially when you're starting off with one of the sentries, okay, a roadblock is, can you help me understand how I can make a presentation to the boss or to whoever I need to, or just ask him, in your company, who is the person that makes the decision on this type of product, and could you help me out, or how's my best way to get an appointment with them? Okay, that's a tough way to go, making cold telephone calls, but when you get through that gatekeeper, you're golden. You're talking to someone who can help you out. That's tough. That's tough. I'm not sure I answered you totally, but you just got to ask that person who answers the phone for their help. And people tend to want to help you. They really do.
Yeah, most of the time. What about, how do you get to a point where you're making calls that are a little bit warmer? So in other words, you're getting to a person that, potentially you could make a sales call with.
Mhm.
What techniques might you use to do that?
That's a great question. And I probably should bring that into my presentations somehow, in that, what was your goal? Okay. Your goal was to get a meeting with this person, and you've got that person on the phone. So the first thing you do is that you honor, I understand, Mr. Smith or Mrs. Smith, whatever, that, your time is valuable, and you give them the alternate close. You use the alternate close technique of, do you prefer to meet with salespeople? Because you want to tell them you're a salesperson. Do you prefer to meet with salespeople in the morning or the afternoon? Which fits your time better? And now you're going to get them talking. And they're going to say, well, I'm an early morning person. I like to meet people. Great. Do you want to meet first thing in the morning on Tuesday, or you want to meet Wednesday at 10? And you keep giving them alternate choices and narrow it down, because that's your goal on that call. You're not trying to sell them something on that call. And they may say to you, well, tell me more about your product. I really would like to. I don't know how much time you have today. But really, when we sit down in person, or we sit down in person on a Zoom call, I can really do a better job than right here off the cuff. Which would be better for you? Tomorrow at 8 or Thursday at 5? Just keep your goal in mind.
Yeah, yeah. You know, so one way to get to some of the people you want to talk about or talk to is research those people through LinkedIn. You know, if you're an avid worker in LinkedIn, you may actually have people that know people that know people that get you to the person that you want to talk to. So you go out and you'll ask somebody that is a contact of yours, can I get an introduction to so and so? That's one possible way of doing it. Also, you know, getting into networking events and things like that, where you can actually run into the people you want to talk to face to face in line.
Yep. And another way on the, I'll call it the industrial sales and commercial sales and those kind of situations is, you know, I've been working with XYZ company and ABC company and CDF company, and I know they're in the same realm of business as you are. And I think my presentation may be of interest to you. Okay. That's the bandwagon close. Okay. Get on the bandwagon. All right. I mean, we all have gotten those mailers you get at home. And you get emails from, we're doing 3 roofs on your street, or we have done, you know, the windows on 4 houses on your street, and we want to talk to you. It's the same thing. It's a bandwagon close. Okay.
So, you know, just in terms of cold calls are absolutely a numbers game. The more calls you make, the more possibilities you've got, you know. So, you know, if you look at it where, you know, your close rate on a cold call is, let's say, 0.05%, how many calls do you have to make to get one yes?
Yep. The old, you know, when I do my presentations live, I do them with a bag of dirt. And I asked the question, I said, so you're walking downtown Michigan Avenue in Chicago with a small bag of dirt on your shoulder from Home Depot. And you start asking people, hey, do you want to buy a bag of dirt? Hey, you want to buy a bag of dirt? You want to buy a bag of dirt? You ask enough people and someone is going to say, yeah, that's going to save me a trip to Home Depot and I want to repot my plants. Sooner or later, someone is going to say yes. Now, as you get better at your sales, you're walking down Michigan Avenue and you say something like, hey, do you want to buy a bag of dirt so your plants at home start to look better? And your number will go smaller. You'll get more sales. Still may be a hell of a lot of people, but the more calls you make, sooner or later, someone is going to say yes. And you just have to learn from each of those calls. And by the end of the week, you've got your bag of dirt and you have a nice presentation and you start to sell lots of bags of dirt. But Bob is right. Just keep making those calls. Sooner or later, someone's going to say yes.
Yeah. Cold calls are very, very tough, but yeah, it's a number.
Yeah.
I think we're both out of time and out of questions. So
Well, great. Well, I do have an end slide here. So now, most importantly, go sell something.
All right. So if anybody is interested in working with some mentors from SCORE to help you put together your sales, that's wonderful. Again, Alan, thank you so much for doing this tonight. Thank you, everybody, for having joined us tonight. And I will adjourn. Thanks.